Astronomy is the oldest science. It's the first thing that people noticed. The sky is not like the Earth, and they thought it was two different things. In fact, at one time, the Greeks thought that everything in the sky had to be made out of something that was not found on Earth, and they called it quintessence. But then, with a little bit of observation, you notice patterns that repeat, like how the sun comes up, how the moon comes up, how the seasons repeat, all these things. You could tell time from the stars, you can find directions. So all these practical reasons to understand the sky. And it gave people one more thing to think about, is like, what is really out there? That's why it makes it easy to have a planetarium. It's basically a place of wonder where you can teach people about the sky, actually all sorts of things. There's no limit to what we can put on that dome. And if you get tired of all that, you can always go back to the stars. Turn on the star projector and see the night sky from anywhere on Earth at any time of night.
That seems like something that you at least are not going to get tired of.
No. In first grade, the first book I ever read was a book about the planets. And I lived near Reno, Nevada, where you're high up, it's very dark, especially in those days, and you could go out and see thousands of stars in the Milky Way every night. There was a planetarium at the University of Nevada, Reno, that my brother and I went to pretty often. It was just the strangest building I'd ever seen. And what it reminded me was a whale, but all you could see was the mouth, and it was smiling. Okay, like teeth. The main thing that was going on at the time was the Apollo program. People were getting ready to land on the moon for the first time, and this was just the most amazing thing to us kids. I remember taking our first jet ride to Iowa for Christmas to visit my grandparents, and then a few days later, they're getting ready to launch the Saturn V for the first time with people on it.
We have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All lift off. The clock is running.
Roger, clock. Lift off at 7:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I asked my grandma, do you have a sleeping bag? I want to sleep on the floor right in front of the television so I don't miss the launch in the morning. And at first she said, no, we sleep in beds. But I insisted. And I woke up, turned it on to CBS, and watched Walter Cronkite announce the launch of the Saturn V that morning. I think it was December 21st, 1968. And they were on their way to the moon. They hit it on Christmas Eve and went into orbit. They did 10 orbits, and it's something I've never forgotten.
And from the crew of Apollo 8, good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good Earth.
When I went to college, I majored in physics and ended up at UC Davis and came straight to Fresno State after that. That was fall of 1994. Part of the need here at that time was somebody to teach astronomy. And then what happened was kind of just a fluke. At Kansas State University, they had a planetarium. They wanted to get rid of it. Our chair of the physics department, his name was Brant Kehoe, got on the phone and negotiated with them and came to the agreement if we paid $15,000, we could have all their stuff. A star projector, the seats, a dome, and things like that. Simultaneously, this is amazing how it all turns out, the development office had contacted the Downing family, and they were interested in setting up a scholarship, and Steve Schmeiser pitched the idea of the planetarium. And so they made a large donation to the university, and so now we have this project. And Brant Kehoe called around to the other CSUs, and everybody he talked to said, no, absolutely don't do it. It'll be nothing but a nuisance. And then he came out and told me, everybody says it'll be nothing but a nuisance. And I just kind of remembered back to Nevada and growing up, and I knew that it would be successful. I mean, going into it, I had that feeling. And essentially from then, they asked me if I'd like to be the director. Dr. and Mrs. White, thank you so much for everything you did for us. The light show was really cool. Destination Pluto was really amazing. And Mrs. White, P.S., thank you for letting me get that glow-in-the-dark nail polish, even though I was $1 short. So see, we do make deals at the Downing Planetarium. Olivia, I remember Olivia because she was in my daughter's class. So thank you with all of the planets of the solar system and pretty much to the right sizes too. That's pretty good. It's great to get these. We read all of the letters, and a lot of times the kids come back the next year. And actually, these kids are all grown up now. In fact, I know Olivia's like 27 now, so that's nice. Maybe she'll come back and see us someday. Harold Downing was the first orthopedic surgeon in Fresno, but he was also interested in astronomy. So when he heard the idea of building a planetarium here, he thought it would be great, especially since we would be able to teach kids about the stars. He did come up to me after the first show and said, "You didn't get a very good sound system." And I said, "Oh, we have amplifiers that will blow out the speakers if you're not careful and cause everybody to run from the room." And then his nurse came and said he forgot his hearing aid. So I hope he didn't hold that against us. We were so successful in those first couple of years. We would have hundreds of kids showing up, but only 74 seats. So we needed someplace else to occupy them. And that's how we came up with the idea of a second building, the museum. And so the Downings also supported that. So all along the way, they've helped us tremendously. And we would not be the Downing Planetarium we are without their continued support. The first few years was nonstop because we had so many shows. Because we were doing public programs every weekend, a regular field trip location for the teachers. They bring their kids years after year, and then we have the students. We bring them over here as part of the astronomy class and teach about the constellations. And early on, we did a lot more parties and receptions and things. So it was just on and on and on. My wife, Kathleen, has a background in atmospheric physics, and I knew that the only way this would be feasible is if she was partners with me. And so she joined up from the start and essentially handled all the bookings and the management and all that sort of thing, keeping me straight. But we've always had a very short staff over here. This is Kathleen and me, and then maybe one other person, and then students. I was doing research in condensed matter physics and teaching classes, so I taught optics and solid state physics, an experimental lab class, and then general physics, and also I taught astronomy. And then once the planetarium opened, I knew that pretty much that would be a full-time job, and had to give up my laboratory, and I gave up some of those other classes. It was a sacrifice because I really did enjoy my research in physics too. And can I build a planetarium? Can we be a success and not go broke? It's something I accepted the challenge. To me, it was a big, big challenge. Let's see here. What do we have? This is Dr. and Mrs. White, and this is from Caitlin Harrison. She says, "I had so much fun, I don't even know where to start. I love the Downing Planetarium Museum. I also have to mention the gift shop." Our best customers are third grade. Thank you so much for the awesome field trip in all fifth grade. I hope to come next year. My favorite part was the movie and the gift shop. Thank you again. What do we have here? Oh, look at that. All the planets and the sun, Saturn with the rings, Uranus tipped sideways, and that's cool. So pick that up, and Jupiter with those bands. So that's all very nice.
Some of these kids really know their stuff.
Yeah, they pick it up, they pay attention. And it's nice to see. I think we're having an impact. I'd have to say, not very many people have had the fortunate opportunity to design and build and then operate and then improve a facility like this, and stuck with it for 25 years now. But now I'm retired.
All right. Well, I'd like to welcome you all to the Downing Planetarium, the place all about space. So if you like the stars, the planets, big rockets and exploration, this is the place to be. Okay?
Dan Brown was a student in the physics department. He got his bachelor's degree and master's degree here. And I became aware of him because my daughter was taking physics lab from him. And I thought, this guy is pretty good. He knows his physics. He can work with people. He's a good teacher. A couple of years passed, and I was thinking about retiring, and so I went and just stuck my head in his door. I said, hey, would you be interested in learning about the planetarium and maybe take it over? And so we just started in on it. I showed him how to deal with the children and how to run the shows, how to fix the equipment, how to make new shows, everything I could think of. And then finally he goes, can I do a show? And I go, here it is. When he finally said that, yep, I think you're ready. It's hard at first. You feel like you're a hamster that fell out of the wheel. It was hard, but I'm getting used to it. We're coming in once in a while just to help out on the extra busy days. But it's a little strange, yeah. The moon's back there now, just through the trees.
Wasn't it a supermoon?
Yeah, it was. It was real big. And I have goats, and they won't go to bed at night. They just, when the moon is out, they try to stay up all night, and then they cry till eventually I'll go out there. I don't want them to wake up the neighbors, so I go out and give them more hay. And then they kind of know if they cry loud enough, I'll come out and give them some hay. I've absolutely loved doing this. It's been very rewarding. Probably even more rewarding than if I had a big stack of publications or something. I think we did good, and we made a difference in Fresno and at the university too.
Oh my gosh.
People that took my class actually are teachers. People that came here as children are grown up and bring their kids. And now I want it to keep running and doing good, and we're on track to continue for the next 25 years. The air is not that steady, that's why it doesn't look very clear. But you can get the idea. And actually, if you just keep watching carefully, you'll notice every once in a while, for an instant, it becomes very, very sharp and clear. And then you can see it. You can see it like you've never seen it before. And a lot of times the reaction I get is they want to know, is this fake? Is this somehow a projected image from a TV monitor or something?
What's that like to be able to give people that experience?
It's fantastic. And our purpose is to promote that, to teach people about the night sky and the wonders of it all.